Right now, most businesses in Kenya are unknowingly paying off invalid eTims invoices from their suppliers, and it's not your fault because these invoices look completely normal, and unfortunately, you'll not find out up until the point KRA rejects this expense when you're filing your income tax returns. So I was building an eTims validation tool to check these exact things, and I discovered that KRA has a 16-point checklist that tells us whether an eTims invoice is valid or invalid, despite whether they look normal. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through that 16-point checklist. I'm also going to show you how the tool works and what happens when the tool flags an invoice as invalid. Hi, my name is Kevin Kabu. I've spent the last 10 years of my life building an award-winning business with global and Pan-African clients. Let's get started. So here's the problem. Our expenditure during our bi-monthly payment cycles averages 4 to 10 million. And with the validation of eTims invoices against expenses that KRA will be undertaking starting November 2025, we need to be on top of everything. We need our systems to be robust so that we are ready and we don't get caught paying more tax in 2027. So as I did a high-level audit of our current systems, and I discovered two main things. One is there's a KRA PIN gap. So a supplier can send you an eTims invoice and get your KRA PIN wrong and it'll still go through. Chances are you won't be able to claim that expense. And the second one is your suppliers can actually send you forged eTims invoices. And you'll only know if you go through the verification process. And this is something we've experienced before. So someone just edits out the name, valid eTims invoice, it looks perfect. It has all the things that you'd look for in an invoice. They've changed the name. And when you scan the QR code, it takes you to another business's details. And this is why I'm building Zentax, just to have peace of mind during tax time. And I also want to be honest with you. If your business is processing a handful of invoices every month to pay suppliers, you don't need a complex system. Your accountant can handle this for you. Zentax solves for businesses that process a high volume of invoices, and human error can be very, very costly. Like if someone misses 1 or 2 points of validation and pays, unfortunately, you'll have a bit of an issue here during tax time. And I just want you to know that regardless of the route, whether you go the manual way, so where you're looking at the eTims invoices yourself or your accountant is doing it, or you go the automated way, the validation logic is the same. And that's what I want to walk you through today. So I built out the logic for the verification bit of the system using a Claude project that mirrors my notebook in Notebook LM. And the data that it uses in the project is a couple of specifically tailored instructions around how it should operate, and the Finance Act 2025, the Tax Procedures Act, and the Income Tax Act. So those are the 3 sources of truth, plus some custom instructions that enable this project to help me build out the logic. And if we were to jump into the logic, there's a 16-point validation checklist that helps us come up with the logic. And I want to go through each of the 16 points. So the first one is a seller PIN, which is a must. It must be there, it's required, and present and valid. So in the format with a P, 9 digits and a letter, or an A, 9 digits and a letter. Then a buyer PIN. This is a must. It must be present and match your company's KRA PIN. And now you can see the link here. Then I was bringing that KRA PIN gap that I discovered when I was doing a high-level audit. This would invalidate that eTims invoice. Then invoice number, it's a must, it should be present. The date and time, it's a must, should be present. Descriptions of goods and services, must, present. Item code is a should. So you can flag it, but you don't need to, say that it's failed that bit. It's not about rejecting it. Quantity and unit, price and rate, the taxable amount exclusive of tax. Then the tax rate, whether it's VAT or non-VAT, it should be there. Then the tax amount must be present and consistent with the rate and the taxable amount. A total amount of the invoice. An SCU ID or CU serial number. So at least one system identifier present. A CU invoice number, this is an eTims generated invoice identifier, it must be present. A QR code present on the invoice, and a receipt signature, a digital signature string must be present. So the validator will check for these in order, and out of this, it yields an outcome. And the outcome is either pass or fail. So if it passes, the decision is to go ahead and pay, because you can rest assured that the eTims invoice you've received from your supplier has met this 16 checklist, the points on the checklist, and it's valid, verified, good to go. When it comes to the other output, which is a fail, then the decision there is not pay and send an automated message to the supplier that these are the issues with your invoice. You need to correct them so that you can get paid. So it's a very simple logic to enable us to get to the point where we can say, okay, this eTims invoice, is it valid or not? 16-point checklist. Then move into the outcome, pass or fail, that informs a decision, pay and not pay. And if it's not pay, communicate to the supplier. So let's get into the demo. And I want to showcase the database where we will be storing all our invoices that we receive from our suppliers, the details of our suppliers that will enable us to verify and just have them in the system, a validation log, which just logs each and every validation exercise we run, company settings, this is the source of truth for your company, so you just load onto your details here, and this is what the system will check against. And onboarding request is just a feature that enables you to manage your suppliers from this system. And let's get into the workflow. And the workflow is built on 3 basic parts. The first part is where the invoice is going to be downloaded and the data from the invoice is going to be extracted, this eTims invoice, and then the system is going to check whether this is a duplicate invoice that already sits in the system before it moves to the second bit, which is the validation bit. And the outcome here will be a pass, fail, and it will also check whether the supplier is already within the system, whether they've been onboarded onto the database. And then the last bit of it is communication. So this is where a notification email will be sent for onboarding and any issues around the invoice. One bit that I want to show you here is there's an AI module within here that goes in and extracts the data. And I'm using Gemini because Gemini is very accurate at this kind of task, this kind of task compared to ChatGPT and Claude. So these are just those, the prompt that is within this AI node right here. And what I want us to do is actually do the actual running. So you can see right now our database is empty. There is no supplier, there is no invoice. And I just want us to start the execution here so that you can see how it works as I walk you through. So it's gone in, it's run, it's checked the drive, it's extracted the invoice and the details. Now the AI node is running. It's checked it out. It's seen that it's not a duplicate, so it's moved into the validation phase and the workflow has executed successfully. So when we come into our system here, we can see that this is our invoice. If we click through, you can see the name of the vendor, you can see the name of the KRA PIN, the name of the buyer. Inside there, the buyer PIN based on the invoice. So these are the invoice details. And it's gone in and it's checked. So this is that QR code link. If we open it up here, you can see that this invoice is approved by KRA, though not for VAT. Okay. And we can see they are not onboarded. And we can see that the validation status is failed. And the error here is saying buyer mismatch. Okay. And this is what it got and what it expected. Okay. So it's not cleared for payment. Remember, this is pass fail. So this is a fail. And you can see here that it'll register under this view here for not cleared for payment. Okay. And you can see that the validation log, it has run. It has shown the status. And you can see that on the onboarding request side, because the supplier is not in the system, you can see that the form link has been sent and the request has been sent. So if we come in here, I want you to note that this particular email, I set it so that what happens is when the system is creating it, it doesn't create an email that will go automatically. So it sends it to draft so that you can view. So it reads, "Dear supplier, we have received your invoice. However, we are unable to process it due to two reasons. One, you're not onboarding into our system and it sends an onboarding form for them. And two, eTims compliance. Your invoice has the following issues. The PIN is wrong. So it has a call to action. Please complete the onboarding form and reissue a compliant invoice through your eTims system." There you go. So this workflow basically just enables us to have, as I said, pass, fail, and communication. So at the end of the day, whether you use an automated system like this or you do it in a manual way, the point is you need to be validating whether the invoices that you receive from your suppliers are eTims compliant before you pay. So if they pass, you pay them out. If they don't pass that validation phase, you don't pay them out and communicate to your suppliers. And the thing that we've seen here is that bit of the buyer PIN is something that you can miss. It could be one digit that you don't even know offhand, or your accountant doesn't know offhand. But at the end of the day, we need a pass fail for these invoices so that we can make a decision to pay or not to pay, so that at the end of the day, we don't have to end up incurring an extra liability in terms of taxes. So that brings us to the end of today's video. If you want to install this kind of system for validating eTims invoices into your business, I'm leaving a link in the description that you can book a call with me and we can explore all that. Please drop me a comment and let me know what kind of content you want me to create more of, and I'll be sure to do that.